It's quite the setup you got there. Looks like you're a professional live streamer.
I guess, yeah. I set this up today, so it's the first time I'm doing this. Just for you, Tom.
It's
Okay,
much
so take
appreciated.
two. Um, yeah, so when Bitcoin came out, I was in high school, right? I found out about it through the guys wanting to do Silk Road stuff, right? Like, oh, going on the deep web and then finding it. And obviously, since I'm in high school, I really don't know what the fuck I'm doing, right? So I just thought it was really cool to see, okay, I can buy all this random, illicit stuff on the internet, right? I thought that was cool as shit, right? So that was in 2011, 2012, 2013 era. Obviously, I was in high school, was broke, right? Didn't have any money, didn't think anything of it. Fast forward 2016, 2017, I was like, it struck up a conversation at work about Bitcoin. I was like, oh, yeah, you can go on this website and find all this crazy shit, right? Still didn't take any action, didn't buy anything. And then I just kept hearing about it in 2017, right? On YouTube and stuff. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to take a look, see what's going on here at the all time high, of course, right? Um, and then so went down the rabbit hole, thought that this was a cool idea, and then started buying ETH, right? In late 2017, December 2017. Okay. Um, uh, I watched Bitcoin top throughout Christmas. I thought that was the craziest shit ever. And I was hooked. Okay. And then in 2018, I found Richard. And I was interested in his vision and what he had to say and his very intelligent remarks about Bitcoin because at the time I was in ETH and Bitcoin. And then he said he was launching Hex, which I thought was an interesting idea. And so I paid attention to him ever since then, and got in on Hex in the AA lobby, followed in day one, as you do, free claim my Bitcoin, capitulated out of Bitcoin into Hex. So my main core bag in, I would say, September of 2020, right? So I had bought Hex, got the Uniswap airdrop, got I think some other airdrop, right? And bought Hex throughout all that. The remaining ETH I had back in early 2020. I remember I had funds stuck on Coinbase when before Godwhale had bought and doubled the Hex price in a day, right? And it pissed me off because obviously I was trying to buy, and yeah, so I was there. I liked the community so much that I became an admin in I think early 2021 for Richard, throughout a lot of his chats, mostly hex trading. Rip hex trading. That was a great chat. And then throughout my admin adventures, I was very lenient towards Floodsters. Right. I was interested in what they had to say because I wanted to have as much information as I could. So that's how I found Buck. Buck has been in the community a lot more in the trenches than I have. So I was, and also he's very intelligent. So I was very interested in what he had to say. And we struck up a friendship, and I don't know. He probably doesn't consider me as a friend, but whatever, it's fine. I like to think that Buck, we're good buddies. And then he had the idea after he met Richard in London for the party, that he wanted to start a Aave fork, right? And I thought that was interesting. At first, I called him an asshole for starting a sacrifice, as you do as a loyal Hexagon, right? And then, come to think of it, it was actually a really good idea. And so that began my journey on PH because I wanted to help him in any way that he could, because it was, it was a great idea, right? I have a bunch of hex on fiat right now, borrowing against it. It's brilliant, right? So yeah, and now Pulse Chain's launched, and I still like Hex. I'm still here in the community. Still helping people as much as I can, and doing my part. So that's kind of my story, I guess, for
Right,
since crypto and now.
right on. Okay. And I assume on that, on your journey, you would have come across a lot of degen behavior. Can you try to sort of encapsulate what you think the degen philosophy is from your perspective?
Yeah, so I think it's an interesting phenomenon that happens before the cycle really starts to take off, right? So, for instance, there was one time where I did a pretty big degen play in 2021, okay? And it was called Unimex. Look that up. It was a decentralized leverage trading thing that they were trying to do on, uh, I want to say on BNB, if I remember correctly. And I bought, quite a bit of it back in the day, and it went up 5x. Okay, but Hex at the same time also went up in price, multiple X's, right? So, in return, I only got 50% more Hex, right? So I was like, well, this is pointless. Might as well just stay in the asset that I'm holding majority of and just fucking ride it out, right? And so that's what I did. So ever since kind of that point in time, I stopped messing with meme coins and stuff unless I know, like the guy who makes it, right? So like maybe on Pulse Chain right now, like the RBC guy. I haven't bought it, but I just know the guy made it, right? Um, but I think it's a phenomenon that happens early cycle, and then I would say kind of consolidates maybe at the peak, perhaps. But it's also interesting because last cycle we had NFTs was what everybody kind of bought that was really silly, right? So people like to flex retarded shit, okay? And those NFTs was a great vehicle to do that, right? Oh, you have a $1 million Rolex? Well, fuck you. I have a $10 million NFT, a fucking picture, top that asshole. You know what I mean? So I don't know if we get that late cycle for memes. It's kind of hard to flex memes on Twitter. You know what I mean? Like, sure you have a PFP, but how do you prove that you own it, et cetera? So I don't know if it'll have that same sort of effect, but I think it's just the early cycle thing because people might be stuck in alts and they're just not performing well, right? So they just look for volatility elsewhere. And then when the cycle takes off, maybe they start to diversify back into the cores. I don't know, but
But
yeah, we're
there's a
yeah.
is there a universal sort of perspective that all degens hold? For example, I start to see it as a sort of spectrum, right? At this end, you've got the very newcomers who are degenning into shit coins or what have you. And then I guess you've got this more established player at the other end partaking in degenerate behavior, but
Yeah.
perhaps they have more information or just more experience. But there must be a universal sort of perspective that they all hold in common, right?
Yeah. So I think it's you've got maybe 10 to 1 rich guys to poor guys. Okay. So you have the one rich guy that has diversified in tons of shit coins, right? And then that guy will convince the poor guys to buy the shitcoin, right? And what happens is that guy doesn't need multiples like these little guys do, right? So the little guys will buy, a bunch of them will start buying, right? And then the big guy will eat them all up. Okay. Now, sometimes the big guy holds, right? And he likes to meme, etc. But most of the time, it's just straight up PvP, people trying to steal from each other most of the time, right? Because I mean, there's God knows how many fucking coins now than there was, last cycle. And everybody is just trying to find some volatility, right? Um, so I think it really just comes down to um, people are stuck in coins. They want volatility, and the only place they can find it is low cap altcoins, honestly. And there's just those couple of guys that'll pump the price, right? And then you'll get a bunch of the little guys chasing the volatility, and then they'll cash out, and then the little guys are stuck holding the bag, or they sell for a loss. That's pretty much my. But I mean, that's with everything, to be honest. Bitcoin, Hex, Pulse, ETH, same shit, right? So
Yeah, right. And now we're starting to see this what is referred to as the VC sex cartel, centralized exchange cartels versus these
yeah,
true DeFi decks. So there's I'm like interested in that sort of space between those two worlds. Um, but because the VCs, obviously, these guys have hundreds of millions of dollars to play with, but they're coming in
Yeah.
and they're looking for these degen or high volatility opportunities, right? But they can just
Yeah.
scale.
Yeah. So, like, look at Silicon Valley, right? There's plenty of scams that happen with VCs involved, whether or not they're successful or whatever. But what'll happen is you'll get these venture capitalists go and remember that rabbit thing that's on the internet right now, the little fucking AI box that was
Yeah.
worthless. They raised $23 million, right, from VCs. They're not going to get their money back. But if they went public and it was worth $1 billion, you're damn right they're going to get their fucking money back. Doesn't matter if it works or not, right? Nikola, okay, that was a complete fucking scam, but I'm sure the guy had tons of fucking VC backing. Okay, just because he spun up a good story. Um, what else? There's shit all over the place like that in legacy, and it's the same thing in crypto. These guys pitch an idea. It most of the time is not. It doesn't work out, and you get a hype, a little bit of a coin before the product launches, and then they fucking dump on your head, right? So I mean, people don't realize this, but we have VCs in Pulse Chain. Rackham was a VC, guys. Like, and he's dumping. Okay, he got a whale bonus, top sack or whatever, 2.5x at sack. He's up 2.5x, right? While you're break even. You understand? He got a VC bonus. He's a venture capitalist.
So
You just can't avoid it.
yeah, okay, but I guess the difference here, well, the major difference claim is this idea of true DeFi, right?
Oh yeah, okay.
Um, the idea that everybody's on a level playing field is what I get from these fair launch coins, or where the market cap versus fully diluted FTV.
Uh-huh.
Um, is that a like a significant? Does that provide a significantly different playing field to the old VC Silicon Valley model? Or is it exactly the same regardless?
Well, I mean, sure. If you get lucky, you could literally be the VC for a lot smaller cost basis, right? Um, I think when you have those launches, right, there's always going to be sniper bots, right? Um, like my buddy Whale Chart, right? He's trying to FOMO in this MAGA coin on ETH, right? Well, there was a sniper bot that bought up 33% of the supply, okay, and it's worth $9 million. Guy dumps constantly, okay. So I mean, if you get rid of those guys, then yeah, these low market cap coins are great. But I don't know. You want whales to be in your products because they have a lot longer time duration, right? They don't need to sell for food or rent. You know what I mean? Um, they can kind of hang out and let the volatility play out, and then when the canary comes home and starts singing, i.e., when ETH starts topping or Bitcoin starts topping, then they know it's time to get out. Then they can sell then with they don't have to sell everything. You just sell portions and stuff. But I mean, yeah, the fair launch thing. I don't know, man. Is buying a coin and getting lucky, if you're just gambling a bunch, I don't know, man. The concept is pretty, unique to, I guess, crypto. Because I mean, you don't have penny stocks that are fucking worth 4 grand launching on the stock market, right? So yeah, I don't know. It's just interesting phenomenon that we have in crypto.
Yeah,
I
really.
guess you could say it's more fair than VC stuff, but I don't know. It's pretty predatory when you just win a lottery ticket and you just fucking rape people, So I don't know.
Right. Okay. And let's have a look here. When Pulse Pulse chain, I've pretty much witnessed the birth of a blockchain here, actually, I realize.
Pretty
and
cool, huh?
I've been documenting the whole thing, but I'm curious why why do you think people haven't seen the value in the copy coins on Pulse? Because they're every coin on Ethereum was made available on Pulse, right? At day one.
That's an interesting question. So I think a lot of people just don't like Richard. Okay. And this idea of having a derivative play on Pulse Chain is a cool idea, right? It's actually pretty clever. Okay, because you have all your copies, you go trade it on Pulse Chain, right? But it's just that you know crypto just has a thing for Richard that they just don't like him, right? You know, you could just go in any sort of community and say, "Hey, do you know who Richard Hart is?" And then say, "Yeah, fuck that fat scammer," right? That's just what happens. Okay. So I think that partially has something to do with it. Um, I think that Richard tried to do that with the farms with a couple of PRC20s, and it just backfired on him. So he stopped it. I think that there's a lot of narratives that have popped up for these PRC um, copies. Some of them are predatory. Others are, kind of like a grassroots thing, and it's fun and whatever. That's fine. But I think they're fine, except when you're lying to people saying this is going to do something for sure, when in reality it's just a broken, it's just a broken coin, man. It's just a meme coin. Enjoy it. You don't have to say, you don't have to lie and all this shit, right? That's predatory. That's not okay.
Right, okay. Makes perfect sense, actually. On Pulse, we saw a bunch of different tribes pop up, and fucking hell, I've witnessed all kinds of shit going down on Twitter, and it gives me a fucking headache, to be honest.
Yeah.
But like, from your perspective, is any of this of value, or is this all this intertribal fighting on Pulse Chain of any use? And if so, like, who's bringing the most value in your opinion at this stage?
Uh, yeah. So I think that it is part of the stickiness, right? So, I mean, fucking without the little tit for tats that we have on Twitter, um, you know, uh, would you stick around and be here? Probably not. It's not as interesting as as a time if there was like nothing happening, right?
Well,
So I kind of
that's kind of my point, is like half the time I don't know if this is all struck constructed drama.
I don't think it is. However, it's just naturally like a train wreck that you just can't stop looking at it, right? And I I think it's just people going at it. Degen's going after Degens. Maxi's going after Degens. Degen's going after Maxis. Like it's just a fun little. It's just a tit for tat, man. Some of it gets too serious, right? Death threats and all that shit. It's not okay. And then like there's recently been like a doxing spree on Twitter. Like, come on, that's not okay. That's not what we're here for. Go have some fun, fucking try and call each other out. That's cool. Whatever. Do your thing, but come on, guys. Crypto's about, libertarian anonymity, etc. No need to dox. But I think that that's just part of the entertainment of this community. It's always been like this. We've always tried to pick fights with everybody. Early days of Hex, literally, it was just fucking argue with people. Go in chats. I'm banned from many chats outside of the Hex community because I would argue with people. It's just look at the founder, man. He's very argumentative. He's very, in
Mm.
your face, brash. It's just, trickles down from the top. So it's just our community.
Yeah, and I was reading I think it was Buck that shared it actually, regarding the SEC Richard Hart thing that's going on. And in that document, they mention the rise of unincorporated alter ego entities. I assume you read the article as well.
What does this mean? Like alt accounts and shit?
No, it was in relation to, well, you know, the SEC filing, right? And what's
Uh,
going on with Richard and everything. In this recent publication, they highlight they're trying to obviously associate him with some sort of investment fraud, I guess. And they
oh, yeah.
mentioned, or they created, they mentioned something called unincorporated alter ego entities, which is what they kind of were calling Richard in this paper.
Oh, yeah. And then they mentioned what? Hex, PulseX, Pulse Chain, right?
Yeah.
Oh, those are smart contracts in a blockchain. It's just retarded. It's dumb.
Yeah, but this is the what I see or what I read frequently that is the potential pivotal moment not in just for the Hex community, but for crypto at large, right?
Mhm.
Because they are trying or attempting to sue code. So just
Yeah.
give me your 2 cents on that.
So what's interesting is, we're not the only ones that are getting fucked with, right? Everybody in crypto that is worth a damn or that is popular is getting fucked with by the SEC, right? Um, it's actually surprising that it took this long for the SEC to come after Richard. Okay. But I don't know if you've been watching the news recently, Tom, but it seems like the SEC has turned a 180 on all this stuff this week because it's a very political thing where the Democrats are realizing that crypto is very popular in the United States. Okay. And so there was a phone call that Gary Gensler got, and now he has to approve the ETH ETF that's like happening, live as we speak, shit like that. So I think the sentiment towards crypto, uh, which is out of our hands, is just turning because of the Democratic Party, making a phone call this week, right? And so if ETH is going to be listed on an ETF, the case is probably going to fall apart just naturally because it makes no fucking sense if you're going to list it on the NYE or whatever, and it be a security over here on this hand. So like, how the fuck does that make sense, bro? It doesn't. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say that this is really good for us, whether we see it or not right now. But I think a lot of these crypto cases are just probably going to be let go, thrown out, etc. Even Richard's case before this was weak, just because they're trying to sue code. They're trying to serve hex.com, the code. Like, dude, it's like trying to uh, sue your car or something. Like, it doesn't make sense, man. It's not an entity, but yeah, it's just fucked, right? The law is 50 years behind and we're in the 21st century, right? So like, what the fuck's going on? We need to, clear this stuff up, right? But government takes a while, so don't know how long it'll take.
Yeah, right, okay. And often Richard is lauded for his game gameplay. They call it they say he's playing 5D chess often. And I do you think this is part of, Richard's obviously he's got a bunch of good lawyers in the room, and he's not new to any of this stuff. Do you think this was part of his plan the entire time?
He's a smart guy. Um, do I think that he does 5D chess like that? I don't know. He does have a lot of foresight and he does see things coming. Um, Now, would you gamble uh, going up and being sued by a federal entity? That's a big risk, right? Because it's not for certain that he would win that case, just because of if it goes to a trial, then you have to people that don't understand this stuff have to decide whether or not you're guilty, right? Or if it goes to that, I guess, or whatever. Um, so yeah, I don't know. It's a big risk. Um, I think it's okay to say some of it's luck, maybe, um, which, luck is fine, right? If you're lucky and in the right place at the right time and you are able to strike opportunity, hey, is what it is, man. Congrats, right? Um, but yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a mix between luck and then sure this 5D chess thing. So I, I don't know, man. It's just wild. It's wild to watch it happen live. I'll tell you that. That's for sure. It's wild. So
Yeah. No, it is. It's fascinating shit, mate. Okay, I just got a couple left here, and who controls Pulse Chain? Is it the Saudis, or is it Buck, or is it Richard himself?
the cabal. The cabal controls it all. No. um, I think it's the hidden hand, the Voldemort, the unspoken, you know, the OA, right? It is a centralized chain in that fact, but it is a decentralized chain in terms of community, right? So you have the hidden hand behind the curtain, but it's mostly the community that's kind of running things or doing stuff, daily. Um, but yeah, I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's a very unique situation because we kind of have, like Buck says, we have a nice dictator, right? Um, we have a North Korea. Uh, if if North Korea is betting on doing trade with China and China does really well, North Korea will do fantastic, right? Just because the GDP is lower. But so I think we're fine, right? I think that there is the hidden hand, which is bullish, right? We're all familiar with the SAC address, but that doesn't mean we have to stop onboarding and doing outreach and things like this. Okay. But yeah, I definitely think that, if you and I were in control, right, we just want the price to go up. Okay. Like everybody else, bro, so I just think it's, Richard, the hidden hand, he's steering the ship a little bit in that front. So um, that's my thought process.
Okay, and where does the no, the Degen nomenclature derive? The like I've seen in the chats, even you see Jeet, Kek, etc. Where do these words come from?
Keck is from an old video game back in the day because when you would type, it would obfuscate stuff. So if you typed LOL, it would show up as Keck. I think it's like World of Warcraft or some shit. I don't know. That's where that comes from. And then, it kind of bred a life of its own from Pepe and all this bullshit, right? So that's
So
just from old.
Kek means LOL.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it just means haha. Yes.
Right, okay. And Jeet,
Jeet is you know, you ever gotten a phone call from a fucking some guy in India, Dev, please do something,
like sales, like a marketing
sure, yeah. So Nigerian scammers, right? Getting in a project or whatever with $2, please Dev, do something, whitelist, please, that's pretty much what G comes from, right? Please, sir, I just wanted to X. I'll send you a fucking soundbite on Telegram where like the meme is of,
please
um,
do.
yeah, and Degen is just degenerate, right? Somebody likes to gamble, okay? And most of these shit coins are gambling, okay? I like gambling at the casino because I get free cigarettes, pretty ladies, fucking free drinks, right? Gambling in my house, I don't really like to smoke inside and I don't get free fucking drinks, So it's not as glamorous, but the upside is a little bit better, I suppose. But yeah, that's what that comes from. Just gambling, dude.
Are
Degenerate
there any
gambling.
others I should be aware of? Any other
Uh,
terms?
ah, I don't know, man. I think that's it, right? Degen, Kekazolo, Jeet, right? Um, I don't know. Is hexakin worth saying anymore? I don't know, right?
Well, it's a
Um,
good point, really. I was made aware of a bunch of projects that are trying to seem like organize a hexodus from EHEX because of Richard's tweet. There's at least five hexoduses going on?
That's a cool term.
I
Uh,
don't, I don't know what they're up to, but it's something to do with the e-hex being abandoned by Richard to some degree.
so what's interesting is the liquidity for eHex was lessened by the market during Pulse Chain launch, and there was only $2 million of bid side liquidity for eHex when when Pulse Chain was very flush, and then as a community, it was like, hey guys, eHex is probably not, you probably shouldn't buy that, right? Et cetera. And then there was people that just would not accept the fact, Johnny Chaos, RG3, those guys, they just wouldn't accept the fact that, hey, it's better if we just consolidate onto Pulse Chain, right? And then one day, Richard's like, hey, the market has chosen PX guys. And then that's when everyone's like, okay, fine, you win, But a majority of the community already fucking understood that, hey, EHEX is not what it used to be. We're going to Pulse Chain now. So uh yeah, I mean, it sucks, but that's what happened. So hey. And I think EHEX will live on, right? But it just won't be as liquid or as valuable, which is okay, right? It'll go up, it'll have volatility. Like just the other day, somebody sold 150K of it, right? And it went down like 40% or some crazy number. That's not okay. It's fucking like EX has never been that illiquid, right? Even when it was worth less, it had more liquidity. Okay. It's just the market is not there anymore. So, you know, that's my thought process there.
Right on. And final question then, as you may be aware, I was approached by some fellas 10 months ago, just after Pulse launched, to create my own shit coin called G'day.
Nice. How's it doing, by the way?
I don't know. I mean, I don't trade, so every now and again I look at it and I don't fucking know, mate. All I know is that there is I could rug it for about 100 grand, it looks like. Uh,
Jesus
what
Christ.
you what I don't know where this money's come from, but it seems to be yeah, the market cap is at that in that range. What the fuck am I doing with this, do you reckon?
I have no idea. Um,
Because I haven't got a community. I've got my document. It's part, it's become part of the film, part of the documentary process.
yeah.
But that's about it. I don't know how else to think about it really. I mean, I interviewed with Somi, my friend Somi, the Aussie fella,
Aware.
and
Yes.
he told me just to leave it.
Yeah. Let it ride. That's a great idea. Yeah. I think you know, people will probably buy it in speculation of the movie coming, right? Or whatever, your documentary coming out. Like when your other shit came out, I bought a bunch of the fucking NFTs for it just to fucking help you out, right? So it's just the same deal. People just like what you do and they'll buy whatever the fuck you make. So you got your own little community there.
Yeah,
And
no, I
it's
appreciate
works.
that, mate. I didn't realize. I didn't follow up. I like to experiment, I like to try these things out and document how it goes, but I don't really I don't know what's going on half the time, mate. But
It's fine.
um,
Yeah. The market will just
yeah,
have fun, man.
yeah, and I mean, sooner or later, if it becomes a substantial amount of capital sitting there, it kind of surely something's going to have to, I'm going to have to take it to the next level and become perhaps that dictator figure like Richard is
That's
somehow.
correct. This is
It's
your baby. This is your baby. Take care of it. It is whether you like it or not, it is now attached to your name, right? So, massage it, pet it, nurture it, fucking that's your little enterprise you got going on there. Take care of it, right? Um, whether or not that means, um, doing richer things, right? Uh, if that means, buying low and selling high, that's up to you, right? But that's your baby. Okay. Take care of it. That's what I would say. Have fun.
Yeah. And that's exactly what it starts to feel like, a little enterprise, little startup,
Yeah,
a little bit of seed money there for something.
sure. Now, if you say that, people are going to sell it. So, I wouldn't say that it's your, but I mean, if you have LP there and you're making fees off of LP, that's a great little fucking cash flow. Yeah. Especially if you're getting volume. That's great. But yeah, don't rug it. That's fuck. Don't do that. Um,
No, what I can't because, like I say, I've been fucking shooting the whole thing,
okay. Yeah.
So I'm hardly going to rug something with the amount of evidence that I have recorded over the past 10 months. But
Yeah,
for me,
don't do
it
that.
feels like I need to go. I need to think about where I'm going, but maybe I don't. Maybe there's time, like depending on where we are in the cycle, I guess.
Yeah. Maybe the meme coin is a bet on you, right? So if you're very successful, having a portion of your meme coin is that's worthwhile, right? So people will speculate on that all day, man. Depends on your growth and popularity. That shit will probably reflect that, right? So
Yeah.
that's cool.
No, it's fascinating, eh? Right on, man. We got 60 seconds left on the clock here, and then we'll get cut off. You want to leave a final message to any would-be degens coming into Pulse?
Sure. I would say if you don't know what you're doing, don't do anything, right? Uh, there are people that know much more than you and will take your money and rip your face off without blinking an eye. Okay. With that being said, if you allocate, a portion of your bag into just ETH, right? And then you wait for Richard to call the top, then you can just rotate into Pulse Chain and you make a bunch of money. Okay. And if you want to make a little bit more, you can go fuck around on some shitcoin. Okay. But